is a grave being dug for you, not by the hands of others, but by your own hesitation. You tell yourself you will begin tomorrow. Tomorrow the fire will ignite. Tomorrow the chains will break. But tomorrow is the lie of cowards, the refuge of the weak. Tomorrow is the day the grave yawns wider. I have seen men wait. Oh, how I have seen them. They wait for the right moment, for fortune to smile, for the stars to align. And while they wait, their bones grow brittle, their souls wither, and the world passes them by like a river rushing to the sea. Discipline is not the lash of the taskmaster. It is the sword of the free man. It is the difference between the corpse who breathes and the man who lives. The undisciplined man is a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave of whim, every gust of distraction. He drifts until the storm claims him. But you were not made to drift. You were made to carve your name into the stone of time. And yet, you hesitate, you delay, you rot. I tell you this, the world does not care for your excuses. The sun does not pause because you are tired. The seasons do not wait because you are unprepared. Life is a relentless current, and you must swim or drown. There is a fire within you, but it will not burn forever. Stoke it now, or let it die. The tragedy is not that men die. It is that they surrender while their hearts still beat. Walk through any town, any city, and you will see them, the living dead. Their eyes are hollow, their steps sluggish, their voices a whisper of what could have been. They move through life as shadows, clinging to comfort like a child to its mother's skirts. They are not slain by the sword or felled by disease. No, they are killed by surrender, by the slow, creeping acceptance of mediocrity, by the belief that this is all there is. A man who has given up is worse than a corpse. A corpse, at least, does not mock the living with its decay. But the man who has surrendered while still breathing, he is a warning, a monument to cowardice. I ask you, when did you last feel truly alive? When did you last fight for something greater than yourself? When did you last stare into the abyss and refuse to blink? The grave comes for us all, but it does not have to claim you before your time. Comfort is the velvet-lined coffin of the soul. You seek it, oh, how you seek it. The soft bed, the easy path, the life unmarked by struggle. But I tell you this, comfort is the poison that dulls the edge of greatness. Look to the wolf. Does it seek the warmth of the hearth? No. It thrives in the howling wind, in the biting cold, in the hunt that tests its very will to live. And so must you. The man who makes a god of comfort is a man who has already lost. He trades the fire of his spirit for the numbness of routine. He exchanges the thrill of the unknown for the safety of the familiar. And in the end, he wonders why his life feels empty. There is no greatness without discomfort, no triumph without toil, no life worth living without the sting of the struggle. Suffering is not your enemy. It is the anvil upon which your soul is hammered into greatness. You curse your trials. You rail against the weight upon your back. But I tell you this, the man who has never known suffering is a man who has never known strength. Look to the oak. Does it grow tall by gentle breezes and soft rains? No, it is the tempest that forces its roots deep. It is the howling wind that teaches it to stand unbroken. And so it is with you. Every sorrow you endure is a chisel shaping you. Every loss, every betrayal, every night of despair. These are not punishments but preparations. The universe does not waste its blows. It forges you for a purpose beyond your present pain. Will you be brittle? Will you shatter at the first strike? or will you let the hammer fall until you ring like steel? Before you conquer the world, you must storm the citadel of your own soul. There are battles being waged inside you this very moment, battles no other man can fight for you. The war against laziness that whispers, "Rest." The war against fear that hisses, "Retreat." The war against doubt that murmurs, "You cannot." These are not skirmishes. They are the great campaigns of your life, and the field is littered with the corpses of those who surrendered to themselves. I have walked through valleys of my own making, fought shadows cast by my own weakness, and this I know: the man who cannot command himself will never command his destiny. Will you be general or prisoner? The choice is before you every dawn. You are not called to climb the mountain. You are called to become the kind of man who can. You stare at the heights and tremble. You measure the distance and despair. But the mountain cares nothing for your fear. It stands unmoved by your hesitation. Here is the secret the great ones know. The summit is not the test. The climb is. It is in the aching muscles, the bleeding hands, the moments when turning back seems reasonable. That is where men are made. Day after day you must choose the upward path, not when the sun shines and your strength is full, but when the storm rages and your soul is weary. The mountain does not exist to be conquered. It exists to reveal who you are. There are two kinds of men: those who are burned by their fire and those who are forged by it. The same flame that reduces one man to ashes tempers another into steel. What makes the difference? The courage to hold fast while the heat does its work. You carry this fire within you, this restless, relentless hunger. You may try to smother it with distraction, drown it with pleasure, but it will not die. It will either consume you in its unspent fury, or you will harness it to light your way through darkness. I tell you plainly, there is no middle path. Either master your fire or be destroyed by it. Time does not forgive. It collects what is owed with interest. Every hour you squander writes a line in the ledger. Every opportunity ignored adds weight to the scales. And when at last you come to settle accounts, you will find the price has grown beyond your means to pay. The young man thinks himself immortal. The middle-aged man hopes for later. The old man weeps for what might have been. Do not let this be your epitaph. The hour to act is never tomorrow. The hour to act is now, in this breath, in this moment, before the clock strikes your final chance. There walks behind you at every moment a ghost, the specter of who you might become if you had the courage. This phantom haunts your comfortable days. It whispers when you choose the easy path. It shakes its head when you turn from the fight. It is your truest self, the man you were meant to be, judging the man you are. Most spend their lives running from this shadow, but the wise man turns and faces it. He measures the distance between what is and what could be. Then, with sweat and blood and terrible resolve, he closes the gap. Will you spend your days fleeing your own greatness? When death comes, as come it must, what will your life whisper as it slips away? Will it be a sigh of contentment for battles fought and loves cherished? Or a moan of regret for chances lost and strength untested? Men die as they live, either looking back with pride or forward with terror at the judgment of their wasted days. Begin this very hour to live so that when death takes your hand, you may grip it firmly as an old acquaintance rather than shrink from it as a thief in the night. You were born of stardust and struggle. Do not disgrace your lineage with softness. The ancients spoke of gods forging men from clay and lightning. They were closer to truth than they knew. There is iron in your blood, fire in your bones, and the echo of the cosmic hammer in your heartbeat. Yet you live as though you were made of cobwebs and dust. Every time you choose complaint over action, every moment you trade dignity for convenience, you betray the warrior poet ancestry that howls in your DNA. The barbarian hordes who survived ice ages, the philosophers who stared into the abyss and built civilizations, they are watching. What will they see? A worthy heir, or a pale ghost unworthy of their sacrifices? The sheep argue over fairness while the wolf takes what he needs. I have walked among both kinds of men, those who debate the rules and those who make them. The world has always belonged to the latter. This is not cruelty, but cosmic law. The oak does not ask permission to grow. The eagle does not vote on the right to fly. Yet you, crowned with reason and will, stand paralyzed by imaginary barriers. There are two languages in this world, the bleating of sheep and the silent knowing of wolves. Which tongue will you master? The moment you say enough is the moment you begin to die. Satisfaction is the perfume covering the stench of decay. History remembers no man who stopped climbing. The graves of those who reached good enough are unmarked and forgotten. Alexander wept when there were no more worlds to conquer. You celebrate when you've conquered your couch. There is no summit where you may rightfully lay down your arms. The war ends only when you do. At the end, you will not count the years, only the unused chances. They come to me now, these broken men with their ledger books of life. Not listing sins, but vacancies. Not what they did, but what they dared not do. The arithmetic is merciless. Every risk not taken compounds at 10% yearly interest. Every truth not spoken becomes a debt to the soul. Every passion unfollowed grows into a ghost that haunts your twilight years. The final sum always comes due. Will you pay now in courage, or later in despair? All great men are forged in the silent furnace of their own company. You fear being alone because in that stillness you meet yourself, and the meeting terrifies you. So you drown the voices with noise, with crowds, with endless distraction. But I tell you, the man who cannot sit with his own thoughts is a man who does not know himself. And the man who does not know himself is a leaf blown by every wind. Go now. Sit in the cathedral of silence. Let the echoes of your soul speak. What you hear there will either break you or remake you. Every mask becomes a muzzle. The face you show the world, the agreeable smile, the polite nod, the acceptable version. It is strangling the real man beneath. Day by day, the disguise becomes your skin. Year by year, the performance becomes your prison. Until one morning you wake to find you've forgotten your own voice. Tear off the masks. Let the world see your scars, your fire, your unvarnished truth. Better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not. We starve amidst plenty, not for bread, but for meaning. The modern man eats his fill of trifles while his soul withers. He consumes endless amusement, but hungers for purpose. He drowns in information, but thirsts for wisdom. This is the great paradox. Never have so many had so much, yet felt so empty. The cure? To hunger again, to fast from the trivial, to let the gnawing void drive you to the feast of greatness. A man content with distractions is a man already in his coffin. He just doesn't know it yet. You must be born twice, once of your mother and once of your own will. The first birth was given to you. The second you must seize for yourself. This is the passage from boy to man, from passenger to captain, from clay to sculpture. It comes not with years, but with trials, not with age, but with ordeals survived. Most never complete it. They remain eternal children in grown bodies, waiting for permission to live. Will you remain as you were made, or will you remake yourself? Action is the scalpel that cuts out the tumor of doubt. You analyze, you ponder, you weigh every angle, and while you hesitate, your courage atrophies. I prescribe you one draft only: movement, decision, the irrevocable step forward. Not when you're ready, you never will be, but now, while the fear still tastes bitter on your tongue. Action transforms philosophers into warriors. It turns what if into what is. The cure for your paralysis flows through your own veins. You need only tap it. When all else fades, this remains. What did you build? What did you overcome? What did you give? Not your comforts, not your excuses, not your clever explanations. The ledger of eternity cares only for 3 columns: the value you created, the burdens you bore, the light you kindled in others. All else is commentary. Begin today to write an account worth reading when the book is closed. Potential unused is not virtue. It is violence against your own soul. You speak of what you could do, what you might become, as if possibility were an achievement. I tell you plainly, a sword that never leaves its scabbard is no better than a kitchen knife. The world is littered with the graves of men who died with their music still in them. Their epitaphs all whisper the same lie: he had such promise. Will you let your life be a museum of unlived potential? Or will you draw your blade and let the sparks fly? Calm seas never made a true sailor, nor easy days an authentic man. You pray for comfort as if it were a blessing. But I tell you, the storm that terrifies you is the very thing that will teach you to sail. Observe the coastal trees. Their trunks grow thickest where the winds blow hardest. Their roots dig deepest where the soil is most unstable. This is not accident, but divine mathematics. Your trials are not obstacles to your greatness. They are the curriculum. There are men in palaces poorer than beggars in the street. I have seen gold-laden souls starve to death. Their vaults overflow with coin, yet their hearts are vacant as abandoned houses. They trade days for dollars, then wonder why their wealth tastes like ashes. And I have seen penniless sages whose eyes shine with unquenchable fire. They own nothing, yet possess everything worth having. Measure your riches not by what fills your pockets, but by what sets your soul ablaze. Your past is not a foundation, it is fuel. You kneel before the altar of old mistakes as if they were holy relics. You carry your regrets like sacred texts, reading them nightly until the words burn grooves in your soul. But hear this: the phoenix does not weep for its ashes. It uses them to rise. Let yesterday's fires temper you, not terrify you. The man who makes a shrine of his scars will forever limp toward tomorrow. The same gravity that pins you down is what gives your ascent meaning. You curse the struggle as if it were your enemy. But what would flight be without resistance? What would strength be without something to push against? The eagle does not resent the wind that buffets its wings. It uses it to soar higher. The diamond does not curse the pressure that forms it. Your obstacles are not barriers. They are the very conditions that make your triumph possible. Civilization's first casualty is always truth, and men die from swallowing its absence. We have been taught to call cowardice caution, laziness work-life balance, and mediocrity contentment. We have been given plastic virtues to replace iron ones. But the body cannot thrive on artificial food, nor the soul on artificial light. There comes a moment when every man must spit out the lies he's been fed and hunt for raw truth, though it cut his mouth to ribbons. We have traded depth for distraction, craftsmanship for clicks. Once men spent decades honing a single skill until their hands became instruments of revelation. Now we skim surfaces like water bugs, mistaking breadth for substance. But the universe rewards depth. The roots that drink deepest grow tallest. The blade folded 1,000 times holds the sharpest edge. Choose your anvil and strike the same spot until the world rings with your name. Time is the only coin minted in heaven, and you spend it like counterfeit money. You waste your divine currency on trifles as if the supply were endless. But the hourglass empties whether you watch it or not. Every moment is a choice between compounding interest or bankruptcy of the soul. The wise man invests each second like a miser guards his gold. What will your ledger show when the final accounting comes? At the end of all your days stands a single question. Was it worth it? Not were you comfortable, not were you approved. Not did you play it safe, but did your life burn bright enough to justify the oxygen you consumed? All philosophy, all religion, all struggle condenses to this final examination. Begin preparing your answer now. When your last hour comes, may your soul blaze so fiercely that death himself must squint to look upon you. Most men fade slowly, a dimming light, a sputtering candle. But some burn with such intensity that their final breath ignites the air. Stoke your fire now while there's still time. Add every experience, joy and sorrow alike, as fuel. Let your life become an inferno that warms generations yet unborn. The world needs your light. Dare to shine.